the most famous fast food chain in the world, KFC. The uncle, whose face is seen in its logo, is Colonel Harland Sanders. He spent his entire life doing small jobs, but at the age of 65, what exactly happened that changed his fortune forever? What challenges did he face on his journey to success? And why did the company KFC Corporation later file a lawsuit against him? Welcome once again to a Tales of the Past documentary. Harland Sanders was born on September 9, 1890, on a small farm near the town of Henryville, Indiana. His first major hardship came when he was just 6 years old, when his father passed away. Being the eldest among his siblings, Harland had to take responsibility for his younger brothers while his mother worked all day to earn a living. Harland was burdened with the responsibility of looking after his siblings. At just 7 years old, Harland had already mastered the art of baking bread and cooking vegetables. However, when his mother's salary wasn't enough to support the family, 10-year-old Harland took his first job feeding animals on a farm. But due to his young age and lack of interest in the job, he was eventually fired. When Harland turned 12, his mother remarried. This marked the beginning of another struggle. His stepfather didn't want Harland or his siblings living in the house, which led to constant fights. Eventually, Harland was separated from his mother and sent to live with a relative. To support his younger brothers, he started working again on a farm. His daily routine consisted of feeding animals at 6 a.m., going to school, and working in the evenings peeling corn. By the age of 13, Harland was juggling multiple responsibilities alone. But then, another misfortune struck. He was expelled from school because he couldn't concentrate on studies. In an interview, Colonel Harland Sanders once said, "I just couldn't make sense of algebra. That's why I had to drop out of school." For the next 2 years, Harland continued his farm job, but financial struggles forced him to look for another option. At 16, he decided to join the US Army, even though he was underage. To enlist, Harland falsified his age on official documents and managed to get accepted as a soldier. He had only found a few moments of peace when within a year, when his real age was discovered, he was discharged from the army. At this time, his age was 17 years, and for the next 23 years, his life was going to be full of ups and downs. During this time, Harland also got married, but he couldn't hold down a job. He worked as a streetcar conductor, railroad fireman, insurance salesman, lawyer, steamboat operator, and even sold tires. He either quit jobs himself or was fired. Eventually, his wife, Josephine, also left him, unable to tolerate his unstable career. At 34 years old, in 1924, Harland met the general manager of Kentucky Oil Company, who offered him the opportunity to run a gas station. With no other options, Harland immediately accepted. Initially, business was slow, but Harland started personally attending to customers. His extra care increased sales threefold, and for the first time, he saw happiness returning to his life. But just as things started to look good, disaster struck again. The Great Depression hit America and the world. Due to the economic crisis, sales at Harland's gas station plummeted, forcing Kentucky Oil Company to take back the station. At 40 years old, Harland was jobless again. In 1930, Harland's experience earned him another gas station job from Shell Oil Company. He got a chance to save his drowning hope. As soon as Harland got to the job, he quickly implemented his old customer service strategy. But this time, he added something new. Because this station was on the highway, he started cooking for travelers passing through. At first, he had one dining table in his room, where only 6 people could eat. He offered hot biscuits, country ham, and string beans, but soon he introduced fried chicken. His chicken recipe became so popular that he expanded the gas station into a restaurant, accommodating 142 people, and named it Harland Sanders Court and Cafe, where customers used to eat only while passed through, soon began traveling from far and wide just to eat at Sanders Cafe. But another problem emerged. It took 30 minutes to prepare fried chicken, and customers were unwilling to wait that long. Harland found an innovative solution. Instead of pan frying, he started using a pressure cooker, which reduced cooking time from 30 minutes to just 8 minutes. His pressure-fried chicken technique was a game-changer, and his restaurant flourished. But then came another disaster. In 1939, World War II began, leading to another economic downturn. In 1942, at the age of 52, Harland's business collapsed, forcing him to close his restaurant. In 1945, after the war ended, Harland decided to open his restaurant again. Now that he couldn't do a lot of work himself, and neither did he had enough money, he partnered with a friend to open another restaurant in Georgetown, Kentucky. His chicken recipe became so famous that in 1949, the governor of Kentucky awarded him the honorary title of Colonel, and hence he was known as Colonel Harland Sanders. Harland's friend eventually left the business, allowing him to take full ownership of the restaurant. As time went on, Colonel Sanders' fried chicken was catching more and more popularity. One day, he received a real estate offer for his restaurant worth $164,000. After so much request from the real estater, Harland refused, and here rose another problem. 6 months later, the government built a new highway bypassing his restaurant's location. Overnight, 90% of his traffic disappeared, and so did his sales. The real estater, who was offering $165,000, was not buying it for even $80,000. With no choice left, Harland was forced to sell his restaurant for just $75,000. At 65 years old, he had no job or income, except for $105 from Social Security. After so much misery, this is when he got the idea to franchise his fried chicken recipe under the name Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. With his second wife, Claudia, he traveled across the U.S., cooking chicken for restaurant owners. If they liked it, they would buy the recipe rights, and he would earn 4 cents per chicken sold. He told in an interview, Harland often slept in his car during these travels. Over time, his fried chicken became famous nationwide. By the time he turned 73, KFC had expanded to 600 restaurants across America. At this point, Harland could no longer manage the growing business due to old age, so in 1964, he sold KFC Corporation to a Kentucky businessman for $16.5 million, about $124 million today. However, one condition was set. The KFC logo must always feature Colonel Sanders' image, and he would continue appearing in KFC's television ads, meaning he would be the face of KFC for a salary of $6,250 per month. But the new owners altered his original recipe, which angered Harland. He sued KFC Corporation, arguing that they were selling a recipe he never created under his name. Out of frustration, Harland opened a new restaurant with his wife called Claudia Sanders Dinner House, selling his original KFC recipe. KFC Corporation filed a lawsuit against Harland Sanders, forcing him to sell his restaurant. However, to this day, Claudia Sanders Dinner House remains the only restaurant selling KFC's original recipe, authorized by Colonel Sanders himself. At the age of 90, the remarkable journey of Colonel Harland Sanders came to an end. Today, KFC is one of the largest fast food chains in the world, but its founder had to endure countless failures before achieving success. Thank you for watching. Until next time.